Hey guys, I'm Will from Tested. I'm here in Adam's shop with Eric Cheng, who's been here before. Hey Eric.
Hello.
You're here for DJI today, and you're showing us the new Inspire 1, which is the new quad that you guys announced a couple days ago on Treasure Island.
That's right, yeah.
Let's just run down speeds and feeds to start, because there's a lot of stuff that's happening. This is a higher end quad than the Phantom Vision 2. More professional use, right? That's the goal?
Yeah, this is a higher end quad. It's sort of all of the technologies we've developed either as standalone products or as part of older products rolled into a flagship. So this is designed for higher end use, either high end hobby use or professional use in some cases.
There's a ton of stuff that happens here. The first thing, and we're not going to show it now because we're inside, which we could, but it's a transformer.
Yeah, when you take off with it, they're sort of like wings and they come up into a V shape, and that drops the body and the camera below any of the landing structure for a full unobstructed view.
It's kind of like a Klingon bird of prey, right? So the wings come up and then the camera has a full 360-degree turn on the gimbal so you can see everything all around you.
Right, that's right. So the camera can turn 360 degrees. It also drops the center of gravity below the props. It's a little bit more stable that way.
Oh, I didn't realize that. And it's because it's bigger. It's a bigger quad in general. Bigger propellers, more weight. What is it, close to 3 kilograms?
Yeah,
I think?
just under 3 kilograms. So that's just over twice the weight of a Phantom series. The props are 13 inches as opposed to 9. And the propulsion system is a lot more powerful. So our battery is a 6-cell battery. It's running 22 volts. So that's twice the voltage of the old Phantom. So there's a ton of lift in this thing.
And that means you're going to be able to go faster and go higher. And
yeah, absolutely. So it's overpowered for most situations, which means that it can very easily tackle complex environments. Like strong wind or gusts or
flying over a volcano, maybe
altitude volcanoes. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
What else has changed? So the camera, it's a new camera, new gimbals. Can you tell me a little bit about the camera?
Yeah, the camera, it's a 4K camera. It's still a fairly small sensor, 1/2.3-inch sensor. Mm-hmm. And it's mounted on a 3-axis gimbal here. As you can see, it's totally stable. So we shoot at 4K at 30 frames a second, or 24 and 25, 1080p at 60. It's also a 12-megapixel stills camera. It shoots in Adobe DNG RAW. All our photographers always want that. It's a 94-degree rectilinear wide-angle lens.
So what does rectilinear mean? Yeah.
So if you look at a lot of the footage that comes from either the Vision or platforms that are flying other cameras like GoPros, you'll see a lot of distortion. So as soon as the camera tilts down, the world kind of becomes curved, and quite aggressively. So there's a ton of distortion. Most of us who do a lot of video remove that distortion in post, which is time-consuming and not ideal. So this will have more or less straight horizons, and it's a more natural look. So this would be sort of something more suitable for cinematography.
You guys changed some stuff to make it a little bit easier to fly, take off and landing, and then also give you better control at low altitudes, kind of where GPS doesn't have fine enough detail, right?
Or when you don't have any GPS signal. So for example, inside here or under the forest canopy, something like that, you would typically lose GPS. And what would happen in something like the Phantom is that when you lose GPS, they're still stable, but they might drift around. So it no longer has position hold. And so what we have in the Inspire 1 is this stabilization package on the bottom. You can see there are 3 sensors here. This is an optical flow-based stabilization. It's actually a combination of optical flow and ultrasonic or sonar. So we can measure the distance to the ground without relying on a GPS signal or a barometer. And we can also measure the rate of change. So as the aircraft moves around, the ground is moving, and this sensor tells us in what direction and how fast.
So when the drone comes in and lands automatically, whether it's lost signal or the batteries in your controller died or whatever, it's not going to do the thing where it slams down really hard because it thought it was 3 feet higher than it was, or whatever.
Yeah, we used to do. I mean, all of these used to land basically by descending slowly until they stop descending. Mm-hmm. So they're not aware of what's below them. But we know exactly how far away the ground is, and we know what direction the ground's moving. So one thing that's really great with this, and we can demo it later if we fly, but you can hover it right above the ground. And anyone who flies these things knows that you basically can never hover it right above the ground because of ground effects.
You're gonna crash, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna shift around a lot. Even with the GPS trying to keep it in the same place, you'll see it sort of move around. So with this new sensor, it's totally rock solid in position hold.
So one of the things when you were giving us the demo over on Treasure Island before the event a little bit, and you were flying with one of the landing skids on the dance floor, just kind of skating in figure eights, and that's something, I mean, I'm sure somebody could do that with a Phantom 2, but I couldn't, and I would have crashed immediately had I tried something like that. So I thought that was really cool. The optical sensor kind of makes it like the world's. It works similar to an optical mouse, right? It's
Yeah,
the same
that's
kind
right.
of theory.
Yeah, same kind of deal.
Okay. What's the flight time with the battery that you have in?
It's 18 minutes.
Okay.
So it's a little bit less than the Phantom series, and that seems to be sort of the sweet spot right now for larger quads like this.
I mean, I'm sure if you're talking to people who are doing like establishing aerial shots and stuff like that, they don't need 2-hour linger time for that. They need a good 5 minutes and then enough time to do it a couple times, right?
Yeah, most people who have a goal in mind when flying tend to find 10 to 15 minutes to be enough for a specific shot.
Battery's removable?
The battery's movable. It just pulls straight up out of the body.
And charge time for the battery, it's a bigger battery, so it'll take a little longer, right?
It'll take longer, but our charger is more powerful, so it's running just over an hour if you deplete the battery completely.
And you guys have the logic, the charging logic is in the battery, not in the charger still?
Right, and not only charging logic, but monitoring logic. So now from the app, you can look at the status of each cell and the health of each cell, so that you get more information about the battery. It also counts charge cycles now, so you can automatically or you can swap batteries out after they've been used a certain number of times.
And it counts charge cycles in the battery, not on the app?
That's right, in the battery.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So no surprises with batteries, which seems
No
like a good
surprises.
thing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the controller? Because it seems like a lot of work has been done here.
Yes, the controller has been completely redesigned. Now, this is a prototype controller. The new one doesn't quite look like it's similar, but the new one's it's white, and this iPad holder is totally different.
Okay.
So the controller is great because it incorporates a lot of physical controls, buttons and dials for camera control.
Which you used to have to do with your fingers or with tilt on the app in a lot of cases.
Right, tilt on the app, or if you wanted to hack in your own potentiometer, which is something that I did with early Phantoms, you could have a dial on the back.
Okay.
But there was some do-it-yourself required. And we eventually shipped a lever that controls the gimbal, but that's the only control we give you. So you sort of start shooting video, you keep shooting, or you have to take your hands off the radio to access the camera.
Which is a bad thing. Or not desired always.
Yeah, it can be a bad thing. I mean, if you're shooting stills, it's not such a big deal. But if you're shooting video and you need to do a complex camera control, like you're tilting while you're moving up and spiraling around a tower, it was really hard to do that before.
Especially with one person.
Especially with one person, yeah. So we have start and stop video. We have a stills, like a take a picture button. We have a playback button, and then we have 2 dials. One of which pitches the camera up and down, and the other lets you cycle through and change camera settings. So exposure control, ISO, and shutter speed.
Like your control setting on a DSLR or mirrorless camera or something like that.
Yeah, that's right, like a toggle. It toggles and changes.
Are these programmable? Can we change them to whatever we want to use, or are they locked at that for right now?
The camera controls, I believe, are locked at that. Now this could change because we have quite a bit of remote control customization that's possible just through the iPad app. So those of you who have been in RC for a while know that normally there are very complex menus, or you have to plug it into some kind of application on a computer.
Yeah.
But in this case, you can just configure it all here. So you can map channels, switch modes. These are sort of advanced settings that most people would never need to touch. But if you do need to, it's there for you.
One of the other things that I noticed you did is you pulled the range extender and a lot of the external stuff that maybe wasn't even in the Phantom, and it's all built into the remote now, into the controller.
Yeah, so one of the fundamental things we did is we integrated Lightbridge. Lightbridge is a high-definition wireless transmission system. It's something that we sell as a standalone product for $1,400. So you can transmit either 720p or 1080p great distances, and also get metadata and aircraft control. We have 16 radio control channels on it, and also an analog video signal. So it's just basically data transport. So we have now made that the primary way that the radios control talk to their.
So it's no longer a boosted up Wi-Fi signal, and now it's Lightbridge.
Now it's Lightbridge, right? It's no longer on Wi-Fi, so you can see we're connected not through Wi-Fi anymore, but through a USB cable through the Lightning port. And so what that means is on our controller here we have USB, and we also have HDMI out. So not only can you connect an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device, but any HD monitor that has an HDMI input.
Oh, that sounds great. And one of the things I was excited about is, previously you had to choose between a video signal out that had telemetry or a clean video signal that you can use for footage or capture or whatever. You can control that on each output now?
Sort of. So
Okay.
you from a single radio, you can only output video to one device.
Okay.
So HDMI or USB.
Okay.
Now, if you have both attached, you get a clean video signal on HDMI, and you have all the metadata and control on the
But no
application.
video on the iPad.
But no video. But what we do have is dual operator support now. So with a second identical remote control, you can have an operator just dealing with the camera. So triggering it and controlling the gimbal in more than one direction, not just pitch, but also yaw.
The full 360.
The full 360. So you can have a pilot just worrying about the position of the camera, and then the camera operator is controlling the camera. And from there, you can use either one of the ports for output. So what we did at the launch event, was we had a second a slave unit at the mixing board, and we just had the HDMI output going to the board, and then the pilot was roaming around flying.
Okay, so that's how we were getting the live 1080p video off of the quad while it was flying around above us.
That's exactly right. And
very cool.
And it didn't, they were stock units. We didn't do anything to them. And so, I've been hacking these kind of HD wireless solutions for the last few months, because I've been doing live streaming from Burning Man and the volcano thing. We wanted to record HD locally just in case we lost the aircraft.
Right.
So these were all sort of built using DJI products, kind of glued together, and they all work. But it did take a lot of testing to make that work and configuration. Whereas now it's just
this is off the shelf.
Right, off the shelf.
The other thing you guys announced at that event was first kind of SDK and APIs to let people access, write software that takes advantage of the hardware that you guys build. Yes,
and this is super exciting for us, because we are reached out to by industry, virtually I would say every minute. We get an email from somebody who has an idea about how a camera in space could be interesting for them. So some of the industries are really obvious, like farming, construction, search and rescue, things like that are really real estate. Real estate requires no modification to the equipment to work right now, but we haven't written any specific apps for those industries. So what we're doing now is allowing people in those industries or service providers to write their own applications to control the Phantom series. So this would be Phantom 2 Vision and Phantom 2 Vision Plus.
Okay.
Are the aircraft that have Wi-Fi signals coming to mobile devices. So you can write a mobile app for Android or iOS and control the aircraft. You can control the Phantom, control its camera, and basically tell it to do whatever you want.
That's amazing. So I mean, that should open a lot of possibilities for, like you said, search and rescue is an obvious choice, where people can set up autonomous search grids, send the quads out, bring them back in for battery changes, and send more out with thermal imaging cameras or whatever.
Yeah, and log which areas have been done and how long ago. And
also disaster recovery. One of the things the Pix4D folks have done, 3D maps of places where there have been mudslides and stuff like that. I know, and that seems like it's an incredibly valuable tool. There's a couple of different levels to the developer agreement, right?
Yes.
So there's different kind of levels of access that people can get. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that works for people who want to build apps for their quads?
So pretty much anyone can download what we're calling Level 1. That's a very, very creative name, I know. But Level 1 SDK, which is basically read-only access, except for camera. Okay. So you cannot control where your Phantom goes. So you still fly it around manually, but you can control the camera. So you can tell the camera when to take pictures. One of the things that people did immediately was say distance trigger. So take a picture every 10 meters. This is very standard for survey. We didn't support it, but now someone else can support it. And then they can take all those pictures and upload them to the cloud, for example, for automated reconstruction. So that's Level 1. And you have access to control the camera, but you can also read what's been written to the memory card. So there's a USB mode, and you can just pull images and video off of it.
And do you also get read access to like GPS coordinates and accelerometer and gyroscope and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so full telemetry access, including live stream of video. So lower quality analog video you get. So that's Level 1. And Level 2 access requires an application. So this is now you're entering a partnership with DJI, and these are currently negotiated on a one-to-one basis. So we don't have kind of standard partnership agreement. Because if you're an independent developer who wants to write something that's in the conservation space or something, it's probably going to be pretty easy to work with DJI on that. But if you're a multinational organization with a very specific business goal and you're charging a lot, we're going to have a different agreement. Okay. So that's how it works now, and that you have full control over the Phantom using Level 2 SDK, meaning you can tell it where to fly, you can upload and download waypoints, you can automatically take off and land. So full control. Basically, the current Vision app that you have on the iPhone or the Android devices can be written with SDK Level 2.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so when you say everything, you really mean everything. You're kind of achieving parity with a lot of the open source flight controllers. Once people reach the level, they're going to get enter into
Right.
a developer agreement with you.
Well, I would say we're reaching parity in non-research situations. So if your goal is to replace the positioning system, you're not going to be able to do that with ours because you can't get in that inner loop in the code.
Okay.
So we're opening up the useful parts for the vast majority of people doing research or using these for commercial purposes. Most researchers tend to want lower level access, so something that's open source is probably more appropriate.
Okay. I'm super stoked to go out and fly the new quad. I think the API stuff is going to be really important in the long term, and we can't even imagine what people are going to use it for right now. But can we take it out for a test flight?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks, Eric, for bringing out the Inspire to show us, how it flies and give us the rundown. I can't wait to
Sure.
get my hands on one of these.
Yeah. Oh, I think he's
we
gone.
just
See you
took it.
later.
Well, we'll be back with more Untested soon. See you guys later.
See you. Bye.
Yeah, the zoom back.
Ready?
No, that's the wrong way.
Oh, you want which way do you want to do?
I don't want to go back. I don't want to decapitate Joey.
Okay, we won't decapitate Joe.
No, please.
Yeah, we will go up.
And are you able to control the gimbal? Whoa! Oh, that's amazing!
No way!
Bye! Bye, quad. That's great.
No way. That's amazing.